Well, thank you for this opportunity. So I'm going to talk about the art of doing nothing. Um, Basically, this comes from my background. I'm a doctor. I did medicine back in Peru, and then I got specialized in the US doing internal medicine and infectious diseases. And something that I struggled a lot was that it's really easy to give a patient a pill, but it's so difficult when you have to tell them, I'm not going to do something right now. Patients get crazy about it. They're like, what the fuck? It's like you make me wait like an hour for you and you're not going to do anything. So that's what I'm going to talk about. This guy, Francois-Marie Arouet, that is called Voltaire. I don't know if that's correct in my French. He said, the art of medicine consists in amusing the patient while nature cures the disease. And I completely agree with him. I think that medicine can only cure some diseases, like infectious diseases, with some antivirals and antibiotics, and some cancers with chemotherapy or radiotherapy. That's it. Everything else, we control it. We control diabetes, hypertension, chronic kidney disease, everything. So because we like to amuse as a doctor, I'm going to tell you a story about a case that happened when I was doing my residency, in which this patient that I got forced me to do a treatment that I didn't want it to do. So, well, this is Pied Piper family. It's like I'm going to try to seduce you through this story. So, well, that's me, and that's my patient. I was on my third year of residency, and I got this patient. She was a consultant, 30-something years old, and she would like to run every day, at least for an hour before going to work. And then a few weeks before she was coming into my office, she started having like some pain in her knees. And then one day before coming to my office, she started noticing a small mass in her knee. So she was like, okay, I'll go to my doctor. I was there, she made the appointment, and I was like, hey, Orlando, because she didn't call me doctor. It was like, it's kind of like, it was kind of weird, but but she was like, hey, I'm having this mass on my knee. And I was like, well, what have you been doing? And she was like, well, I've been running. And I was like, well, have you stopped running? And she was like, no, I just take some painkillers, but I keep running. And then I check her up, and I did found a little mass on her knee. And I was like, based on your age, based on the whole idea that you run every day, for me, this is a small cyst or a ganglion or something like that. It's like, for me, the only thing you need to do is rest and maybe just do nothing. And she was like, are you crazy? It's like, you're not going to send me for an MRI or for an orthopedist. And I'm like, no, why? Why should I do it? And she was like, well, because there is something wrong. I can have cancer, I can have lupus, I can have a lot of things. And we started having this discussion. But I insisted that I wasn't going to do anything. So after that, I told her, well, you can go and swim or whatever. She got really mad. She went out of the office really, really pissed. What happened a couple of days before, after that, she came to the office again saying, hey, Orlando, like, I really need the MRI. I'm very painful, and like, my cousin is an orthopedist, and he told me that I really need an MRI. And I was like, tell me what's really going on. It's like, I don't think you really need it. It's like, have you at least tried to rest or at least try to swim instead of running? And she was like, no, I really want the MRI to be done now. Then she started saying, I'm in a lot of pain, and because pain is something really difficult, it's like you never know if this person is really in pain. I was, okay, let's do the MRI. What happened was that same day I received the results from the radiologist, and the radiologist actually called me, and he was like, you know, that knee looks pretty bad, but it's because she's been running like a lot. It's a lot of swelling, and like she might have something called compartment syndrome. That is when you have a lot of effusion, a lot of liquid in your knee that might be compressing some tissues in the knee. So I called her and I was like, well, you got good news and bad news. Good news are that you don't have cancer. And bad news is that you might be having some syndrome that is called compartmental syndrome. And actually, I might need you to refer you to the orthopedist right now, and you might need a surgery. And she was like, what? A surgery? That means that I'm not going to be able even to run. And I was like, well, I told you, it's like what I thought at the beginning was just to rest. And I was like, well, can we do it now? And I keep telling her, it's like, she was like, I think I did a really big mistake. She was like, I think I pushed it too much. This was on the phone. And I was like, you know, now I can't do anything. Now that I have the image, I must send you to an orthopedist, because we doctors, we face every day with insurance companies and like a lot of legal issues. So if I wouldn't have sent her to an orthopedist for just checking, I would have been sued. And actually, I told her, I told you so. It's like, maybe if you would have pay me attention and just rest and chill a little bit instead of being so demanding, things would have been gone in a different way. What I'm trying to do with this is that, for example, there is a really nice study that says that we got two kind of groups. Both we gave a painkiller, but actually it wasn't, we told them that it was going to be a painkiller, but actually it was a placebo. And we told one group that the painkiller would cost $10 and the other painkiller would cost 10 cents. The group that was receiving the painkiller for $10 was like, this is an amazing drug. Like, I don't have pain at all and everything. So I started to realize that now in our culture, we value so much the price of the things. Like in this case, she values so much an MRI because it was expensive and it was nice, instead of my cheap recommendation of a doctor, you know? But that's how we work in every day, and it's like that's our mindset. And then I think we have been losing that between the patient and doctor relationship, that it's now patients demand more, but they don't follow what doctors do or what doctors say, and then doctors are not so that commitment with their patients, you know, anymore. One thing that I wanted to touch before finishing is pharyngitis. Now that I've been in this MBA, so many people has asked me, hey Orlando, should I take antibiotics because I got a fever? And I always say, no, you shouldn't take them. And then after 3 days that I was like, how are you doing? No, I took the antibiotic. And I was like, why? Come on. So I'm going to talk cases about in the US, 12 million, and I'm doing like in an MBA style, you know, it's like 12 million cases per year in the US. 90% are viral pharyngitis, 10% are bacterial pharyngitis. So you only need antibiotics for this, okay? For this, it's nothing. Then antibiotic prescription, actually 60% receive an antibiotic treatment and 40% receive asymptomatic treatment. So that means that we got a lot of patients receiving antibiotics that they shouldn't be receiving. Then the cost of pharyngitis antibiotic prescription annually is 1.2 billion, okay? If we do things wrong. So do you know how much money is that? That's a lot. But if we would have followed the guidelines, 50% of that cost would have been decreased. 50% in the healthcare system. And then 30% on office visits reduced. That's $30,072 million. That's a lot of money for just not following the rules. I got something that I really like a lot, that it's the number needed to treat for bacterial complications. It's the number you need to treat someone to make an effective treatment, okay? So I know this term is kind of complicated, but let's use it like Tinder. Like, for example, how many likes you need to put in a person to have a match. So it's the same thing with this. So you need to treat more than 100 people to actually treat someone and cure someone that really got acute otitis. You need to treat with antibiotics 225 people to actually treat someone with a pharynx abscess. And you need to treat 2 million people to actually cure one single case of rheumatic fever. 2 million people. So think about it every time you're going to take that antibiotic next time. Just to finishing, acute pharyngitis should not typically be treated with antibiotics, please. The great majority of cases are viral in origin, please. And complications following bacterial infection are both easily treated and too rare to justify routine use of antibiotics. That's it, basically. And then listen, smile, agree, and then do whatever you want to do anyway.